Us now, Mark Regev. He's a senior advisor to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Mark, thanks for joining us. This IDF video that was released from the hospital complex shows guns, ammunition, a radio, a laptop. But is there more evidence to come that would back up Israel's assertions that this is a major Hamas command center? Is there evidence to back up the claim that there's an extensive tunnel structure there as well?
This is only the beginning, Wolf. I'm sure you'll see in the coming days much more information coming out. But I'd remind you and your viewers, it's not just Israel that says Hamas has built its fortifications, its terror network, its command and control under the Shifa hospital. That's been corroborated independently by the US government, both from the White House and the Pentagon. And the truth is, if it's a secret at all, it's a very badly kept secret, because if you can ask people in Gaza City, it's common knowledge there that Hamas has built a subterranean military network of terror tunnels, connecting them to rocket launchers, to arms depots and so forth, underneath the Gaza Strip, based in the Shifa hospital. Now, they can't say that in interviews to CNN, of course, because Hamas doesn't like when people speak out of turn. It's a brutal dictatorial regime, and people who speak out of turn, they'll face consequences from the Hamas people. But when this is over, you'll see, I think, with your own cameras, exactly what we're talking about.
So I take it that they're going to allow journalists to go and inspect, to take a look for themselves what's happening at that hospital? Is that what you're saying?
When it's safe, and yes, and when as this operation goes on, but the operation is still ongoing, and we've done some released preliminary information as has been reported, but more will come.
Based on what Israel has revealed so far, though, Mark, how does the capture of what's seen as this relatively small amount of weapons and equipment actually justify raiding Gaza's largest hospital?
Once again, I think you'll see more information in the coming hours and days. This was the first day of our operation inside the hospital building. More will come, I have no doubt about it.
Because I asked the question because the hospital's main building has, for all practical purposes, effectively stopped functioning. Doctors are working by candlelight. Premature babies are being wrapped in foil to keep them alive. Doesn't Israel have an obligation to ramp up delivery of critical medical supplies, water, and fuel to these hospitals?
We have, as part of our presence in the spot, we bought humanitarian supplies, we bought incubators for babies, and as you know, a few days ago we already bought fuel for the generators so that the babies would be safe in their incubators. Look, we don't want to see babies suffer, but Hamas so far has torpedoed our attempts, let's say, to bring fuel for the generator. And here one has to make a historical comparison. Wolf, you and I are old enough to remember Saddam Hussein organizing tours for journalists in Iraqi children's hospitals. And at the time, he was saying that President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Madeleine Albright were murdering Iraq's children. Do you remember that, Wolf? And they had these pictures of poor children suffering in hospitals. Hamas could have alleviated the suffering. It chose not to. It wants the pictures for its propaganda purposes.
I just want to be precise and back up a little bit, Mark. Does the evidence you're about to provide in the coming hours and days include evidence of an extensive Hamas tunnel system under that hospital?
We've already, at the previous hospital that we brought journalists to, the Rentasi hospital, there we did show journalists tunnel networks that connected the hospital to Hamas positions. And there are more of them, of course, at the Shifa hospital. And when we're in a military position to be able to show that to you, we will.
Mark Regev, thanks as usual for joining us.
My pleasure, sir.